folks. Why Would You Ask That is a podcast that answers some of the weirdest questions. A lot of those are inappropriate for some listeners. If you're squeamish, easily disturbed, or just having a bad day, this may not be for you. But if you've got to know the answers like we do, stay tuned.
Why Would You Ask That? Hosted by me, M, they, them, and
Karen, she, her, and
Remy, he, they.
And today we are talking about haunted dolls. Me and Karen actually talked about it on our prior podcast that we did before this.
When Remy guest hosted, and we were like, you know what? We should make this a full-time thing, and we just...
Yeah, we just decided to, all come together.
Remy is a good podcaster. Let's keep this going.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
what's the main doll star today, Remy?
Hey now, you're a doll star. Get your game on. Go
Go
play. It's not copyright.
I don't have a main doll star. I have several dolls.
Oh, okay. Can you... Who's up first?
Okay, so first, I'm gonna just talk about dolls in general.
Cool.
And then I have a list, and then you'll know who's up first.
Well, what's the deal with dolls? Scary dolls, human dolls, dolls that haunt, dolls that creep up your asshole and choke you from the inside. And Barbie.
I didn't bother to look up anything about Barbie.
No, we could talk about Barbie another time.
Alright, so, dolls. People have given their children dolls for a very, very long time. And I'm just going to give you a rundown on dolls in general, like what people have been using dolls for, before we talk about haunted dolls, because there was a lot of doll stuff that was going on before people started being afraid of dolls.
Well, things live inside of dolls, so...
It is true.
So, in 2017, the oldest doll that we have ever found so far was discovered. Do you want to guess how old it was?
4,000.
Do you have a guess, Karen?
Oldest doll, 10,000.
Oh, that's very old.
It's very old.
If this were for money, M would have won. It's
nice.
Well, it's 4,500 is how old the doll was, thereabouts.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it was found... Yeah, close. 6,000 years. Yeah. So, it was found at the Itkol II burial ground in the Republic of Khakassia in southern Siberia.
All right.
What was it made out of?
It was made out of soapstone, and it had carefully worked facial features. Soapstone is a soft rock that's mostly talc, and so I've got a little picture of it here. Let me send it to you.
Oh, they usually use the soapstone to make those lovely little carvings with the animals inside of animals.
Here.
You know the ones.
It's not opening the picture, but here's the picture.
Let's see. So cute. It's so little.
Yes. This little guy is like, I don't know, I think the article said like 2 inches tall. It's got like little bitty, like barely visible arms, and then it's got like a little triangle head, a very like well-defined nose, and little like oval eyes, and it described it as having bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Look at those little eyebrows.
It's like fitting in the palm of this person's hand. The way that the arms are remind me of a lot. There's like multiple cultures that do their arms like this. Where it's like they're down at their sides, but then bent at the elbow, and their hands come up to their chest.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you're seeing? Is that what you're seeing?
That's what I'm seeing.
I thought it was just at his sides.
So, this is the oldest doll. Is it haunted?
Oh, please say it's haunted, Remy.
Yeah, we just found that in 2017, and then I didn't find any articles saying that we have found an older doll than that one since then. Before that, it was wooden paddle dolls in Egyptian burial sites.
Paddle dolls?
Yeah, they're just little dolls made out of wood. They're kind of flat.
Oh, Because when you say paddles, it summons an image for me. You know,
Here,
the image of paddles.
here. I'm going to share a picture.
Egyptian ones have got to be haunted. You find them in tombs. Oh! It's got hair. Oh my goodness!
Look at that. Okay,
Wow!
so it looks like how do we describe this? It looks like a paddle, like a wooden paddle, and then it's got little arms
It's
on
got
the side.
nipples. Look at that.
Oh, cute.
And like the hair's like a beaded dark substance. And
Yeah.
it's got like a googly eye going on up there. This thing is adorable. Oh my god. I'm a slut for the paddle dolls.
I would play with those.
They are very cute. Here's another one that has some really fancy like beadwork in its hair. People spend like 6 hours in the salon to get hair that looks like this.
Oh,
Damn,
wow.
dude.
That is
This
so
one
cute.
dummy thick. She got hips for days.
Are those her hips?
Well, that's a butt crack.
I don't think that's what that is.
Vagina crack?
No.
What do you think that is?
I think it's like so they both have this kind of weird slit at the bottom. It's possible that they used something to hold the dolls up.
That's drawn on, punk. It's drawn on, punk. Maybe
But the other one has it too.
It's drawn on, punk.
But
Look at that.
No, yeah, it's drawn on, but I don't think that it's their butts. I think it's just the floor. I think that the dress stops at the way that the pattern ends, and then there's this triangle on the bottom. I don't think it's their butts though.
Maybe it's just a longer part of the dress, bro.
So, do you want to learn about the paddle doll? I didn't intend to teach about the paddle doll, but we can learn about it. The paddle doll.
I want to learn about the paddle doll. The paddle doll is now an essential part of my education.
Okay. So the paddle doll is a flat piece of wood depicting the torso, little bitty arms, and neck of a woman with a thick bit of hair made of beads and linen thread. So they're all meant to be women. The body is painted with like the textile patterns and or tattoos. And then, contrary to the fact that it's called a doll, even though it looks like a doll, like it's not a doll for playing with, and I get into this in my next paragraph, what it's used for is it's used for religious purposes during like ceremonies as a percussion instrument.
Oh, I was about to make that joke. I was like, oh, do we use it to smack the shit out of people? Because it definitely looks like it would be just one of those things that you smack the shit out of people. I mean, look at the hair. It ends with the stuff.
You use it like on drums and stuff. And when you shake it, the beads make a sound intended to appease the god or goddess during the ceremony. Yeah. There are other kinds of things that aren't paddle dolls that are used like that. So archaeologists have just guessed that the paddle dolls were largely used for the same purposes, because the things that are used for those purposes look pretty similar to the paddle dolls.
Someone just got into a relationship with a doll.
They think that the paddle dolls were a like troupe of singers and dancers, quote, who performed at religious ceremonies associated with the goddess Hathor.
Hathor. I'm like Stargate SG-1. It's like it's like a trauma response. She's a villain, so.
Oh, okay. I don't know anything about anything to do with that show.
Oh, it's okay.
In Egyptian mythology, she was a very popular and very powerful goddess of love, beauty, music, dancing, fertility, and pleasure.
Ah, the goddess of fucks.
Yes.
And the protector of women.
Fuck yeah.
Though men also worshipped her.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And an Egyptian museum website tells me that she had priests and priestesses.
Nice.
Yeah. So now we've learned about the paddle doll, and I'll add that to the bookmarks list to put on the resource page. I don't know nearly as much about the actual oldest doll, this little soapstone man, because they found him, and then neither of the articles that I read about him had any information about him other than that he was found. They don't know what he was for, they just found him.
They're just like, look at the little guy. Just look at the little guy. Wow, little
that
guy.
that was the tone of the article, yes. From the Siberian Times and from the other news website that I read it from. They were basically like, look at him, isn't he adorable?
And we went, fuck yeah.
They also found a wooden dragon's head that only vaguely looked like a dragon.
I love it.
Yes. So for the history of dolls, in like ancient civilization, dolls were made from wood, bone, or clay, usually. Like I just talked about the paddle doll. I was going to mention it anyway, but not give as much information. Dolls with movable limbs and removable clothing date back somewhere around 200 BC. Archaeologists have discovered Greek dolls made out of clay that had articulated hips and shoulders.
Damn, bro. So they had action figures back then.
Yeah. So rag dolls and stuffed animals, they think, have been in like use for a really long time also, but obviously they have not survived all the way up until now because those are made of rags, like leftover linens from making clothing. I think that they did find some rag dolls in Egyptian tombs, from what I was reading on one website, that were stuffed with papyrus.
Oh, wow.
There are so many like reasons that dolls have been used. Like stories from ancient Greece around 100 AD show that dolls were used by little girls as playthings. In ancient Rome, dolls were made of clay, wood, or ivory. Dolls have been found in the graves of Roman children. And like children today, the younger members of Roman civilization would have dressed their dolls according to the latest fashions. I love thinking about stuff like this because it makes me feel like I'm connected to people from a long time ago. Like it makes me feel like
we're always humans.
Yeah, makes me feel like a connection to humanity through time, you know? I don't know, it's just nice.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know if you can think of reasons that dolls have been used outside of just children playing with them. Do you have thoughts?
Sex.
Do you mean to have sex with?
Yeah.
Oh, like how we use them now. Okay. How do you think dolls have been used before the 19th century, before the 1800s?
Listen, people put a pussy in anything.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
It's the human thing to do. Someone horny, they got extra stuff, they know how to sew a few threads. They look at a doll, they're like, damn, bro.
You give me your thoughts about what you think dolls were used for while I type.
Okay, so definitely for fucking, definitely for playing, definitely for ritualistic purposes and little traditions. Maybe someone made a little thing of grandma for grandma to possess so that her evil spirit wouldn't, like, fucking kill you. I don't know. Dolls are fucking everywhere. They do everything. They're little people. They're possessed by the human spirit whether they want to be or not.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think that covers all the things that I would think of for, I mean, sports? It seems like a weird thing.
Like Air Bud, but with dolls?
Mhm.
No, expand on this. Gimme. Do
Just
they kick the doll? Do they pass the doll around? Extreme baby dolls? Listen, give me something to work with. I'll make it happen. Make all your dreams come true. Well, most of them. Just got nothing.
I'm just thinking, like,
You're stuck on putting the dicks in the dolls.
Do you consider, like, the little straw dolls, like the cornhusk dolls? I don't know that it would be considered a doll, but you know when people burn, like, effigies, people?
I feel like that should count.
Yeah, effigies count as dolls.
Okay, it's like a giant burn it for some reason.
Like the Swedish goat. Is it the Swedish goat? The Swedish Christmas goat? That's a doll.
That's a non-human doll.
But it's still a doll. Robots are also dolls.
Did you say that cornhusk dolls are creepy?
They're terrifying,
Why?
bro. Because they are.
You tell me why.
Let me pull up a picture so I can really get into the.
No, I know what they are. You tell me why they're creepy.
No, I'm pulling up a picture for me
so
that I could get into the nitty gritty.
Well, a lot of them don't have faces,
Yeah.
but they are human-esque faces. Have you seen Bly Manor? The Haunting of Bly Manor?
Yes.
It's like
They
that.
look dead. They look like little dead guys. Okay? They look like little dead guys. They frighten me. I don't care how fancy someone made the dress. I don't care how fancy someone made the face, the head, the bonnet, the everything. Ah! This is the worst! I wasn't even looking at this! I was looking at a normal ass fucking cornhusk doll with a nice dress! Now you show me this shit? What the fuck is up with these hands? Oh god, it's like uncanny. It's like just the right amount of like, oh god. These things are totally haunted. If I woke up in the middle of the night and saw one, I would die on the spot because it's already stolen my soul.
It's a whole family.
Look at their fucking eyes! Look at their weird arms! These bitches gonna beat me to death and then blame the dog!
I'm gonna give them all names.
Oh god. Like this is like it hits in the same way that mannequins do, except they're small and portable and can get into small spaces. You can wake up to one standing in the corner, but you won't even see it half the time because it's so little, and then it fucking comes for you.
I'm gonna buy these.
What?
You're gonna buy them?
I'm gonna hide them around the house.
No! I have enough nightmares.
I'm gonna put the little one in weird places.
Oh my god. It's gonna be like Elf on the Shelf Advance.
You're gonna be eating chips and then all of a sudden...
It's gonna come out of the fucking chip bag and it's gonna grab my fingers and then slice it off, Karen. Can you not see the evil in these eyes?
You grab a handful of chips and then you open it up and say, "No, Father, please. Please don't, Father." And then...
It's worse than I thought!
Oh my god.
Good fucking god, my dude! You upped the ante on the horror!
I'm trying to see what this one on the end is. It's so small and its face is darker, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's the ugly child that they adopted out of the woods. They don't know what it is, they don't know where it came from, but they affectionately call it Susan. And you know what it said? Ugh! It's a creature, risen from the mud, that lives amongst them. It does dishes.
If she does the dishes, I would thank her.
It's the most pleasant one out of all of them. The rest are monstrous. Christ. Oh, God.
This is Gertrude on the end. She's the mom. And on the end is her husband.
Frank?
Frank.
Frank.
Gertrude and Frank.
You're gonna call it Frank.
Yeah! Let me be Frank.
Oh, God. So he's also trans. Okay. Trying to really represent you, huh?
What?
Oh, did you not see that joke that I sent you? The most casual and winning way of announcing your new name. Let me be frank with you guys.
Oh. It's your trans guy name. It's Frank. Let me be Frank.
Can I
Go
be frank
on.
with you all?
Yes. Go on. Okay.
Thanks.
The oldest boy, his name's Willoughby.
Willoughby?
Yeah. His sister, her name's Louise. She looks like a Louise. Her sister, Annabelle. Yes, she is the most haunted one until Stephanie is born. And then Stephanie becomes the most haunted.
Ironically, Susan, the mud child from the wood, is the most adjusted.
Yes, she has no problems.
Not haunted at all. Does the dishes. Meanwhile, these four short fucks and their parents crawl up somebody's asshole so that they could start putting glass in your fucking anus.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I don't know if you got that yet, but I don't like them.
Okay. We did it. I think we're good on the cornhusk dolls. So, Remy, what are the uses of dolls throughout history?
You all super don't like Cornhusk dolls.
Well, Karen loves them. Maybe she should marry one.
I already did.
Oh.
Do you? Okay, so Karen, you think Cornhusk dolls are creepy also?
Oh, yes.
Why do you think? Because N did so much yelling about why they think they're creepy. But why do you think? Because
Oh,
they don't have faces also?
yeah, they don't have faces. They're made from, I mean, I guess use the whole animal, but still.
Do you know anything, either one of you, about Cornhusk dolls?
Made out of corn husks. And I've only seen them in horror movies, so that's probably why.
Karen?
No. They're patented.
Okay, because you just spent like 7 minutes, both of you, yelling about them, now I have to give you both an education about how Cornhusk dolls are not scary, because they're an important Native American item.
Way to go, M!
I'm frightened because they're uncanny. You know what else is important to people? Other people. They're scary.
So tell us the cultural importance of cornhusk dolls.
Okay, so this Cornhusk story is like vaguely similar between the different groups of Native Americans, but it's the same basic story. I think it largely starts with the Haudenosaunee people, but other groups have the story, and that's also the story that English settlers would have gotten and then forgotten about. But English settlers made cornhusk dolls, and enslaved Africans also made cornhusk dolls, but it started with the Native Americans and Mesoamericans. So the Haudenosaunee people like respect the sustainers of life, the three sister plants, corn, beans, and squash.
Oh, we talked about that with the pumpkin episode.
We did do that, yes. So the corn spirit was so thrilled to be one of the sustainers of life that she asked the Great Spirit if there was anything more that she could do for her people. And the Great Spirit told her that a doll could be formed from her husk. So she made the doll from her husk and gave the doll a beautiful face. Then the doll went from village to village and played with the children. And everywhere she went, everyone kept telling her how beautiful she was. So it wasn't long before she became just really conceited. And the Great Spirit called to her, and before she went into the Great Spirit's lodge, she looked into a pool of water just to admire herself, like Narcissus from Greek mythology. And the Great Spirit talked to her and told her that if she kept thinking that she was better than everyone else, a terrible punishment would come upon her, but he wouldn't tell her what it would be. So again, the doll went from village to village playing with the children, and then again, everyone kept telling her how beautiful she was. And then it wasn't long before she became just really conceited again. And the Great Spirit called to her, and again she like stopped and admired herself and was like, look at me, I'm so gorgeous, before she went in to talk to the Great Spirit. And upon entering, the Great Spirit said to her, I've given you a warning, now you're going to be punished for being so conceited and thinking you're better than everybody else. But he still wouldn't tell her what it was, and when she left the lodge, she looked in the pool of water to admire herself again on the way out, but this time she didn't have a face, and the Great Spirit had taken it away from her. And since that time, the Haudenosaunee people do not put a face on their cornhusk dolls to remind people never to think that they're better than anyone else, or a punishment will fall upon them.
Great Spirit told you.
You were warned, girl.
Well, geez.
Will a curse. So, good story.
We've all learned.
Now, these dolls that Karen has posted, they are creepy.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing. They've been culturally appropriated. That's the thing.
Yes. These ones right here, they're awful. But actually, the English settlers were taught how to make the cornhusk dolls.
Yeah, and then they patented them because they were like, we did this.
Stupid as fuck.
Made these stupid, ugly ones.
Yeah, the stupid, ugly ones with faces. So see, they're shitting on all the history.
Yeah, these ones suck. These dolls suck that you've shared. I know. And
You know
they
who
are
made
scary
them?
to look at. Yes, now let's talk about other things. So dolls have always had a connection to spiritualism and mysticism. outside of literally the story I just told. There's no defined line between spiritual dolls and toys in some cultures, like that cornhusk story. In Greece and Rome, it's customary for boys to dedicate their toys to the gods when they reached puberty, and for girls to dedicate their toys to the goddesses when they were married. In some cultures, dolls that had been used in rituals were given to the children to play with. In other cultures, dolls were considered to be too laden with magical powers to be allowed for children to play with them.
Oh, okay.
In parts of Africa, they are supernatural intermediaries, and they're manipulated for ritual purposes for in a variety of regions. Japan has a lot of different kinds of dolls. They have ritualistic dolls that are used in funeral rites. They have ritualistic dolls that are used for good luck, and then they have dolls that are used as dolls for protection and also as playthings at the same time. Some dolls have been used for spell work in Europe, Africa, and in Native American cultures. For that, we've got like the puppet that's like all over Europe, and the Nkisi in Central and West Africa. And people are familiar with the idea of using sympathetic magic on a doll like an effigy, like sticking pins in it and making bad things happen to other people. And that practice through Hollywood has been associated with African American hoodoo or Haitian voodoo, but it's largely not a part of that, though either one of those practices at all. It's just been linked to it. What it is actually historically a part of is European folk magic having to do with puppets. And then European folk magic also has something called a kitchen witch, that is a doll that you keep in your kitchen to ward off bad spirits.
Kitchen
Oh,
witch.
that sounds lovely.
Yeah. There's a really cool type of doll called the tea doll that's found with the Innu people that holds tea for people to drink on a long journey.
Oh.
America, in like the colonial times, had a doll called an apple doll that was made out of old apples.
Oh
Okay. That using the whole animal, but a little much.
no.
Yeah. And then in Iran, during the Qajar era, people criticized the politics and social conditions of Ahmad Shah's reign via puppetry. And they could do that without any fear of punishment, because according to Islamic rules, the act of dancing in public was not okay, especially for women. But dolls or puppets have free and independent identities and are able to do what's not feasible for real people to do.
Very nice.
So dolls have had like a so dolls have had like a really wild amount of uses. These are adorable.
I
Yeah, I
love the
think these.
kitchen witch. She looks like an abuela.
She does.
She's got
She does look
straw.
like
She's
that.
got a bunch of sticks on her back.
She looks like she's going to feed me some soup.
She's gonna carry all your bad luck out of here.
Can we get a kitchen witch? We give her her own little shelf and everything.
Let's see.
Her little face.
Oh, she's so troubled.
They also make corn husk kitchen witches. The doll blend.
That's cute. So when did people become afraid of dolls and like started seeing them as like a horror thing? The recent history of the doll isn't as interesting as the other stuff, not in the United States anyway. So toward the end of the 1800s, people started viewing their children as children and not as teeny tiny adults. So dolls started looking like children instead of like little adults. And people pushed the idea that dolls were meant to serve as a stand-in for girls to learn how to be maternal. Yeah. So then when women started joining the workforce, also baby dolls became popular, because they were not popular until like the beginning part of the 1900s. Like babies as dolls were not as popular. And then our current relationship with dolls has like verged into the creepy territory. Now doll sales are still huge because children still like dolls and always have forever. But now we have the other stuff too that we didn't used to have. I said this chunk of stuff on the other podcast, but I'm just going to repeat it. You've just heard it. They haven't heard it. Research into why we think things are creepy and what potential use that might have is somewhat limited, but it does exist. In 2013, Frank McAndrew, a psychologist at Knox College in Illinois, and Sarah Koenke, maybe, a graduate student put out a small paper on their working hypothesis about what creepiness means, and the paper was based on the results of a survey of some 1,300 people, which is a very small sample size, actually, if you're only doing just the one study, about what creeped them out, and collecting dolls was like the top of the creepy hobbies named.
Yeah, especially the little porcelain dolls. Those are the
Yes.
creepiest.
Uh, I if I were like thinking about if I went into somebody's house and saw a collection, what collection of what, like normal things, not like if I was trying to think of bizarre things, like a normal item. If I walked into somebody's house and saw like 100 of them of this just normal item, what would scare me? And it would in fact be like porcelain dolls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not afraid of dolls. I'm not even creeped out by them. But if you had a lot of dolls, it doesn't even need to be 100. A girl I used to be friends with in high school had like 15 dolls in her living room, little bitty, like 5-inch high porcelain dolls. But they all sat on a shelf, like at the top of the ceiling, like by the ceiling, and it freaked me out.
The teeny ones. That's creepy.
Yeah. So McAndrew says that it comes down to uncertainty. He says, quote, "You're getting mixed messages. If something is clearly frightening, you scream or you run away. If something is disgusting, you know how to act. But if something is creepy, it might be dangerous, but you're not sure it is. There's ambivalence," end quote. So you can understand this outside of dolls really easily if you apply it to people. So like people who stand like really close to you, or like hold your eye contact without blinking for a really long time, or like are walking really close behind you in the parking lot at night, or following you down a lot of aisles in the grocery store. None of those people might be doing anything wrong or have any bad intentions, but it makes you feel like they do.
Because you alarm bells are going off.
And you can't pinpoint why they're going off. So you're not afraid, you're creeped out. And
Yep.
that's the difference. So from McAndrew's quote, "It really focuses your attention and helps you process any relevant information to help you decide whether there's something to be afraid of or not. I really think creepiness is where we respond in situations where we don't have enough information to respond, but we have enough to put us on our guard," end quote. And dolls inhabit an area of uncertainty largely because they look human, but we know they are not human. And our brains are designed to read faces for important information about intentions, emotions, and threat, but dolls don't give emotional signals back. And some researchers believe that a level of mimicry of nonverbal cues, like hand movements, making so many hand movements over here where you can't see me, such as hand movements or body language. I'm like, you can't see me, but I'm doing all of it, and I know that M is moving around so much. Uh, Probably before drawing they were anyway.
I like have to keep my hands occupied, bro.
Yeah, so there's like all this body language and stuff, and like little bitty facial movements that goes into like talking and looking at another person. And there's a level of mimicry that goes into when you're looking at another person, too much or too little, and we get creeped out. This is why autistic people or other neurodivergent people have a hard time like in conversation with neurotypical people, because we don't always know like how much of it to put on the face.
Right.
The the brain doesn't supply enough or supplies too much sometimes. Dolls don't have the ability to mimic or mimic much, and then it just freaks our brain out.
Yeah, it's just like a tiny corpse.
Yeah, it's like a teeny tiny corpse, and I think that's probably what our brain is interpreting, that it's like a tiny little dead person.
And, we don't like being around dead people usually.
But I work with dead people. uh
You do.
I
But
do.
do you like being around them?
Cleaning a dead body causes me no distress whatsoever.
Maybe because its eyes aren't watching you in that way. Maybe because it's not get up in the middle of the night and just
Okay,
a
so
dead body is dead.
I know that this is going to freak you out.
Uh-oh.
Most of the time their eyes are open. Uh and most of the time they still have the human color for like a good long while after they die, like 30 minutes.
Yeah, but when they're dead, they're dead. They might do the weird things that bodies sometimes do, but they're dead. And they're not going to try to attack you.
And sometimes, if they're in just the right position, or if there's like enough gas in there or whatever, they do move.
Yeah, but they're not going to try to kill you.
Now, it would freak me out if one of them moved while I was cleaning them, though.
It would be very startling.
Yes. But dead bodies still behave like a normal human body, except it's not breathing. But they bleed still, and they move still sometimes, and their eyes are still open.
Discomfort is slowly increasing.
Yes. So you would think that that would make me uncomfortable, and the porcelain doll wouldn't, but if I stared into the eyes of a porcelain doll, I would be uncomfortable the longer I sat there looking at it.
They're just uncanny.
Yeah, it's the uncanny valley was the next paragraph. Yeah. And in case anybody is unfamiliar, I think in our modern day and age, and because actually so much of our audience is now young people, in our modern day and age, I think a lot of people are familiar with the term, but in case, that's the idea that humans react favorably to humanoid figures until a point at which the figures become too human or are not enough human. Uh, the small differences between the human and the inhuman, like an awkward gait or an inability to use appropriate eye contact or speech patterns, become amplified to the point of discomfort, unease, disgust, or terror. I didn't say anything else about the uncanny valley because nobody needs it. I'll just link an article. So, in the 19th century, dolls weren't human enough to be scary, and then we learned how to make them blink. And then we also learned how to make them walk robotically, and then they started being able to make noises, and then people got afraid of them.
They started becoming too human.
Yeah. And people blame Hollywood for it. People like to say that Hollywood started making scary movies about dolls, and then people got more culturally aware that they should be afraid of dolls. And that's not true. In the 18th and 19th centuries, as dolls became more realistic and as their counterparts, the automata, performed more dexterous feats, artists and writers began exploring horror associated with that. So there's a German writer named E.T.A. Hoffmann, and his writings are seen like widely as the beginning of the creepy doll genre. Hoffmann wrote a story called The Sandman, not to be confused with Neil Gaiman's stuff, in 1816, that involved a traumatized young man who discovers that the object of his affection is in fact a clever wind-up doll.
That's so sad!
The work of a sinister alchemist who may or may not have murdered the man's father.
That's messed up.
That went somewhere strange.
Yeah, and it drives him insane. So the horror in the story turned on the deceptive attractiveness of the girl rather than on the murderousness in the doll. In the 19th century, creepy doll stories tended to be about the evilness of the maker and not of the doll. And sort of as like the years went on up to now, the creepy doll stories sort of like verged less and less like that and more into the doll itself was what was evil, or something inhabiting the doll made it evil, and less about the person who made the doll was evil and imbued the doll with some evil. Okay, now Robert the doll.
The respected Robert, who definitely did not curse me last year.
Now, I have new Robert the doll information.
New?
Yeah, a very tiny one. Very tiny new Robert the doll information is on here.
Okay, hit me with Mr. Sir Robert's information.
Okay, so first, Robert is 118 years old this year. He lives in Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida, and he got a new display case.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Good for Sir.
His display case was donated by a fan of Robert's, the curator said. It's apparently very comfortable for Robert. That is Corey Convertito's words, that the case is comfortable for Robert.
Nice.
Good for Mr. Robert, sir.
So, last time we did a lot of very fun joking about how the Florida humidity would destroy Robert's straw before Robert ever got to make it to us. But you'll be happy to know that Robert's new case is humidity controlled.
Oh,
that's
good.
very good. Good for Mr. Robert, sir.
It also is UV filtering glass to preserve him. But Corey Convertito, the curator and Robert's caretaker, wants us to know that none of those things have reformed Robert.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't
No.
suspect so.
It's okay.
So the
He's free to do exactly what he wants.
Yeah.
and he will do what he wants whether anybody likes it or not.
Yep.
So
That's his right.
before Robert came to the museum in 1994, he was the property of Robert Eugene Otto of Key West also. And Robert was a birthday gift to Otto from his grandparents. His grandfather was a sailor, and Robert was bought on a trip to Germany. Robert's origins are from the Steiff Company, the same toy maker that first manufactured a teddy bear in honor of Theodore Roosevelt. Robert, the company says, was most likely never intended to be sold as a toy. That comes from a historian at the company. Robert was probably part of a set fabricated for a window display of clowns or jesters.
Oh gosh. I mean, okay.
It sounds creepy, but we know that it's
Yeah, it's a respected profession.
not scary.
Robert is wearing a tiny little sailor suit, which fits his grandpa being a sailor. Gene Otto, which is the human, Gene Otto put him in the outfit. He didn't come in the sailor outfit.
Oh good. Wait, wasn't that the boy's old clothes?
It was the boy's old clothes. Gene Otto named the doll Robert after himself and then dressed the doll in his old clothes. Robert the doll is 3 feet tall, so he fit into Robert the human's clothes.
That's right. Listen, I'm not going to make a whole lot of quips about Robert because last year was such an ordeal. I sent an apology letter. Okay?
Yep.
Did you get a response to your letter?
I did not.
Okay, so if you sent one this year, Corey, the caretaker, says that she responds to every letter.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I was like, you do?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me double check my email.
That's a lot
It's been
of dedication.
A few years. Yeah.
It's been a few years? I thought it was last year.
Was it last year? You know, I think it was last year. I think we were recording that together.
So while you check, I'm going to keep going. So Jane's relationship with the doll continued into adulthood. Here's a quote. Quote, what people really remember is what they would probably term as an unhealthy relationship with the doll. Quote, says Convertido. Quote, he brought it everywhere. He talked about it in the first person as if it weren't a doll. He was Robert, as in he is a living entity. End quote.
Sorry, I just found the email. I did not get a reply. It was November 17th, 2021. You're right, Karen. And yeah, I wrote a whole ass apology to Mr. Robert the doll. So yeah, I did not get a reply, but the apology I hope was given to Mr. Robert the doll.
I'm sure it was.
I'm not nearly as cursed, so
Yeah.
Yeah, Corey says she corresponds on Robert's behalf. So not only does she answer them, but she responds as if she is Robert, which is very weird, in my opinion.
I think it's lovely.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if she's not in trouble with Robert, then it's fine.
Yeah, if Robert disagreed, Robert would say something or kill her.
Yeah. It says she tries to send something to every child who writes him.
Every child?
That's what it says. And she has always responded to more poignant ones, such as an email from a girl who was being bullied at school. And she responds as Robert. Man, I wonder what she says.
Yeah, did she tell her to kill them?
She say she's going to curse the bully?
Kill them.
Don't make the jokes.
I'm sorry. I mean, I apologize.
Does Cora Vertito think Robert is haunted? And she says, I don't know. I really don't. I've never had a bad experience with him. I've never felt uncomfortable. It's always been a basic relationship.
They just get along. He's like, you know what? I respect her.
She says, he just allows me to get on with my job. End quote.
Look, someone's got to keep this place clean.
Exactly. So, according to what's known about the Otto family's life with Robert the doll, Gene Otto began to blame the mishaps around the house on the doll. While this could have been laughed off as childish storytelling, adults also started noticing odd occurrences, especially as Gene and Robert the doll grew older. As an adult, Gene lived in a nice house that he called the artist house, because he was an artist, where he took Robert and kept Robert. and like you could see Robert like in the windows from the outside. You could see him in the upstairs windows. School children would like go by and see him in the windows, and they would like swear that he would be in the window and then he would disappear from the window while they were watching. So they just avoided going around the house anymore.
I would too.
Yeah. A lady named Myrtle Router, I think, purchased the Arter house after Jean's death in 1974, and Robert was just in the house, so she just kept him. I would not. Uh, Visitors swore that they could hear footsteps in the attic and giggling when they were over at her house. Some claimed that, like, when they were around Robert, his expression would change whenever anyone said anything about Jean Otto in a negative way in his presence. I don't know why anyone would be talking about Jean Otto at all in his presence, but they did. And then Router said that Robert would move around in the house of his own volition, and so she literally let this happen for 20 years. If you legitimately thought this was happening for 20 years, you should not. So she donated him to the museum.
Probably the safest place for him.
Yes. He got very famous. He's been on TV shows. People have come and photographed his aura. He's been a stop on a ghost tour. He's inspired the horror movie that's named after him. I think it's just called Robert. I don't know. He has a Wikipedia entry. He has his own social media account. I'm going to link on the resource page. You can buy Robert the Doll replicas and books and coasters and t-shirts. And here's an update to Robert's information about things you can do with Robert. If you want to, you can go and spend the night locked up in the room with Robert.
No!
I feel like he also needs sleep, so I would not, but thank you. There's also a movie that we watched called The Boy that sounds a lot like this.
Yeah, The Boy is a really good movie, actually.
Well, I think there's a movie that's specifically about Robert, but then
The Boy Robert's inspired a lot, but The Boy is just like, it's a good one. And then The Boy 2 more has the evil doll thing going on.
Yeah. First one, really good.
Yeah. Second one is just like, if you like cheesy.
Yeah.
So then we can talk about Robert's girlfriend, Annabelle.
Are they dating? They're not dating. Don't lie.
I don't even know where Annabelle is. Where is she at?
I think
last I checked, she was in the museum that the Warrens had.
Yeah, but I don't know where that house is at.
It's been a while since I checked.
7 days ago. Let me look. Where was she at 7 days ago? She's traveling as of 7 days ago.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, she's out of the museum and traveling. Connecticut. She's been in Monroe recently. That's where she lives. She's gonna go to 2 places this Halloween.
Exciting.
You can't reach me from here. I'm not scared of her like I am Robert.
So the doll that's in the Warrens Occult Museum, I guess, isn't the real doll. I don't know.
What?
That doesn't make sense. They could just take her out to take her out. I mean, Jesus.
But everybody's always like, yeah, I tapped on the glass and then I died.
Oh, no.
Like on the way home. And I'm like, but
listen, I have this exact same Raggedy Ann in my kitchen.
It's not hard to find multiples, but I had several Raggedy Anns.
I had a Raggedy Ann.
Yeah, so Annabelle lives at Ed Warren's museum in Monroe, Connecticut. And here's a little picture of her case that she lives in. She lives in a little house.
You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to touch the glass, bruh.
So, in 2013, the movie Annabelle introduced people to the doll. In the movie, she's this, like, antique porcelain doll with, like, pale antique skin, quote.
Look, they and, like, really pushed it into a weird direction. They went, what are people scared of? And then they're like, let's just make the ugliest fucking doll possible. And then we're going to spray it with one of those, like, Rust-Oleum crackle paints to make it look like it's aged.
Yeah, so they made, like, a pale porcelain doll with, like, a weird ruby red mouth, and then it looks like they smacked it into a brick wall. Yes.
I really hated the Annabelle movies, bro.
I've never even watched one of them. I just know that's what she looks like. So the actual Annabelle is just very mundane looking. She just looks like a generic Raggedy Ann doll. But how big is she? I know how big she is. You tell me how big she is.
I
I
mean,
saw,
we both had one. They're
I
big.
yeah, I saw a picture recently. She's big.
They're always like torso size to me, but I haven't like touched one in a while.
Annabelle, the size that it gives is almost 2 feet tall.
Aw, size difference.
And then it says the size of a 4-year-old child, which is such a weird way to
Jesus
size the
Christ.
doll.
You know, that makes sense.
Uh, the movie was not Annabelle's first appearance in any sort of media, actually. The Annabelle was first, like, in a media of some sort in the 1980 book by Gerald Brittle called The Demonologist, The Extraordinary Career of Ed and Lorraine Warren. We should do a whole episode about those two, because from
I
what I
love
know of
them.
them, they're both, their stories are both wildly exaggerated and very crazy, and that their story, like, as a couple, like what they do and like what they did is
I was
just
a
like
fan of them when I was a kid.
I
bonkers
bet they're in
stuff.
the psychic mafia,
No.
They're like ghost hunters, exorcists and stuff or whatever.
aka psychics.
Or are they both dead now? It's been a while.
I don't know.
I think one of their kids runs the museum.
Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigator. Edward Warren is a self-taught and self-professed demonologist and an author.
Yeah. They did the Amityville house.
Lorraine says that she's a clairvoyant. Yeah, okay. Yes, Karen. Lorraine Warren says that she's a clairvoyant and a light trance medium. Probably.
Well, I'm a trans medium. Wah.
Yeah, we gotta talk about them. They have a bonkers life. Okay, so the Warrens' account of Annabelle is thus. In 1970, a mother purchased the Raggedy Ann doll from a store as a birthday gift to her adult daughter, Donna. Donna is a nurse and lived with another nurse named Angie, and Angie's fiance, Lou, who was just like, didn't like live there, but was a very frequent visitor. Might as well live there. You know how that goes sometimes. The
It just do be
Warrens,
like that.
yes, the Warrens were allegedly called into the case by Episcopal clergy because the doll started moving around on its own in the house. And at first, Donna said that the doll's position would just change while she was away at work, or would appear to be like standing or kneeling on its own, which is very weird for a Raggedy Ann doll. They are by
They
name
got
Raggedy.
nothing to go. Like they flop. You know. You know
Floppy.
ragdoll physics, y'all. That this is what this shit
Skyrim.
is.
So Angie said the doll would change rooms while they were gone. And then these little handwritten notes on parchment, it says specifically,
Parchment.
not paper, parchment, began to appear with writing that looked like a child's handwriting that said, "Help us," or "Help Lou."
Oh.
And then, bizarrely, the three of them told Ed and Lorraine that they didn't own a pencil.
Huh?
Which is the stupidest shit on the planet. Weren't they nursing students, or am I thinking of a different thing?
They were nurses, active nurses.
Ah, there we go.
Every nurse I know, and then myself also, owns a million pens and pencils. A million. Drowning in
It's
them.
just how it would be.
My
How
backpack,
do you have a house
that
and not have a pencil?
yeah, for one thing, a normal person has some sort of writing utensil. My backpack has probably 30 pens in it, and then there are 2 that live in my pocket, and I carry a Sharpie off of my badge. So,
Yeah.
at any given time, I've got 3 writing utensils just on my person. So,
See?
there's no way that 2 people who worked at a hospital did not have a pencil. So, that
We
was
don't own a pencil, officer.
literally, I'm reading the Haunted Annabelle story, and I was like, this is literally the most unlikely part of this ghost story that I'm reading.
I feel like it's always the one that I'm going to be calling out, because, like, who the fuck does not own a fucking pencil?
Yeah. So they said one night they discovered blood on the doll's hand and chest. Did not tell me where the blood came from. And weirdly, there was chocolate. The story's really
Okay.
stupid, actually.
It's
The
incredible.
they were like they were like, yeah, Ed and Lorraine. Also, the doll had blood on one hand and there was chocolate on the other.
Like how?
Okay.
Just gonna tell people this. Okay.
Uh, so then they brought in like a medium. The nurses consulted a medium who said that the doll's name was Annabelle Higgins.
Okay.
Yep. The medium said Annabelle was the spirit of a 7-year-old girl who had lived in happier times when the apartments were still just all fields. The girl just wanted love, said the medium, and requested permission to stay with the women and to enter the doll, which they granted, much to like the Warrens' dismay. The Warrens are like, "What are you doing?"
And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it's just a little girl. And they went, oh, bro, that's how it starts.
Yeah,
Make you think it's a girl. Is
the
not.
Warrens are like, "The demon is going to tell you it's a little girl, obviously."
Obviously.
So activity increased over the course of the next year, which culminated with Lou having a dream about the doll floating over him, choking him with its tiny little Raggedy Ann hands.
Ah, the
and
Cornhusk doll dream.
and on another occasion, he heard sounds in Donna's room and went to investigate and found the doll on the floor. And then something attacked him from behind, and he had some claw marks on his back. There were 7 of them, and they said that that was the mark of the beast, which is weird to me because I thought that 6 was the number of the beast, but okay.
Yeah, because 7 is a holy number.
I'm very confused. Like, listen, when you usually hear about demons just doing shit, they're like, oh, that's 3 marks that's mocking the Holy Trinity. Or like, sorry, I'm also like, uh, or, oh, 6, it's the fucking mark of the beast, because it's usually 6, and
So, the Warrens said that they had determined it was an inhuman spirit manipulating the doll, not possessing it, manipulating it. And the recognition it received from the roommates empowered it as it was looking for a human host. Like, I don't know why it couldn't have just leaped into one of them. I don't know if it was waiting for permission. I don't
Yep.
know
it's
why it
very
needed to
polite.
manipulate the doll.
Look, even the devil waits for consent.
I love that.
uh,
So then they brought in Father Cook of the Episcopal Church, that I guess, I mean, like, that's probably the same guy who brought the Warrens in the first place, to exorcise the inhuman spirit. And I don't know why he didn't just do that in the first place. And the Warrens ended up with the doll. Celebrity ghost hunters, the Warrens, said that they believed a vicious hatred tried to run them off the road as they were driving home. And then they built this nice little special house for Annabelle to live in. But then they said that even though they did such a nice thing for the doll, they claimed that a Catholic priest's life was endangered and a young man was killed on his motorcycle shortly after they challenged the doll. Also, the doll supposedly arrived at the museum with a spectral black cat that stalked Ed.
Okay.
A bit of,
alrighty then.
uh,
Damn, Annabelle.
Also, I guess I'm just like a little confused. The inhuman spirit was not possessing the doll, but also they had to take the doll back to their house with them, and the doll did evil things to them at their house, even though nothing was actually possessing the doll.
It just
Um,
really liked that fucking doll.
Okay, so those are the 2 famous ones on my list, and the next entries are much shorter because they are not as well known. Probably, I bet you have not heard of the other ones on my list.
Oh, set a challenge.
It is a challenge. Okay. Uh, so have you heard of Okiku?
Which one is that?
Well, you
Is
have.
that the hair growing doll?
Yes, it is.
oh,
So, the whole story. This one, I read it on a couple of different sources, and on the different sources, the like the gist of the story was the same, but like tiny details were different. Like the name of the little girl in the story is different between different sources. How old the girl in the story is different by like a year or two, not even two, but like 1 year up or 1 year down. But then the rest of the story is largely the same. I don't exactly know which numbers are correct, so I'm just going to go with the one that was from the most reputable looking source. Okay, so this doll, and it's a real doll. It's just a legend story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can go see the doll. What? Oh, let me give you a picture of the doll, because I don't think you don't know this one, Karen, right?
Doesn't sound familiar. Then again, I don't do a lot of searching for. Oh, it's like a porcelain looking doll in a beautiful kimono, and she has long black hair with her bangs trimmed. That's cute and creepy.
So the legend of this doll is that it was bought in Hokkaido in 1918 by a boy named Aikichi Suzuki for his little sister, whose name was Kikuko in several stories, or just named Okiku herself. And we have a Robert the Doll situation in other stories. The doll is roughly 40 centimeters or about 1.5 feet tall. He said, oh,
Yeah, it's bigger than I.
it's dressed in a traditional kimono and it's like very pretty. It is a very pretty doll. Its hair is like a really nice shiny black. It's cut originally. It was cut shoulder length, supposedly, in an Okapa hairstyle, which is the shoulder length with the bangs right across the eyebrows. And the stories that I was reading, all of them literally said, quote, her eyes were piercing coals that swallowed everything in their gaze. And I was like, fantastic.
We love it.
Amazing.
Non-English storytelling always has fantastic lines in it like that. So, it is said that the little girl loved her new doll so much that she carried it everywhere with her. She talked to it. She pretended to feed it. She slept with it in her bed. And then, tragically, the little girl died suddenly the next year.
Oh.
Yeah. Uh, so the family kept the doll, and they put the doll in their household shrine, uh, where they like prayed and such, and remembered their daughter. And then after the after that, like slowly, they started noticing some weird stuff. At night, they had dreams about the doll Okiku, and sometimes the doll would appear by their side in the morning at their bed. Uh, the events like intensified and grew into like full blown spiritual infestation stuff. Lights flickered. There's some banging noises. They heard some like voices. Um, and the closer the year got to certain key dates, like their daughter's birthday or the day that she had died, and then like they started noticing that the doll's hair was growing, and it just like grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. And they were okay with this actually.
They're probably like, oh, it's just the kid.
Yeah, they were fine. They were fine with it. Um, but the reason that they were fine with their haunted doll is because in Japan, their relationship with spirits and ghosts is way different than our relationship with spirits and ghosts over here. I watched a documentary about this once, but I don't remember what it's called.
Different cultures.
Uh, yeah, man, I wish I remembered. It was something related to the tsunami that happened, where they were just talking about spirits in
Oh,
relation to that.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh yeah, I think it was. You know what? It was an episode on unsolved mysteries because
I
It
it
want
was
to
talking
was.
rewatch
about
that
like
whole show.
it was talking about all the people who had died, and they were talking about all the spirits, the restless spirits, and they talked about all of their like relationship with spirits, and that like taxi drivers pick up spirits and then drive them to where they want to be, and then they like then the ghost is
Disappear.
gone, and they're like, "Well, you gotta drive them to where they want to be," and I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
It's
you're
so
like
sweet.
it like everyone just kind of agrees that this is a thing that just they have to participate in. Some
Yeah,
of the stories were really beautiful. Like there was the one about the woman who, like she was certain she was possessed by a woman who had died, and she like just could not stop crying.
no, I cried during that episode.
It's so intense.
Other cultures outside of the United States, or cultures that are inside of the United States but in small proportions, just have very nice cultural practices regarding death that I wish that we could get behind here, because they seem like healthier.
Healthier ways of coping. Yeah.
Yes, instead of just making scary movies and being terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they were just fine with this. They lived with the doll with the growing hair for a long time. So the daughter died in 1919, and they lived with the doll until 1938.
Oh wow.
Uh, at that point, they moved. So the doll was given by the father to a temple nearby to be looked after, because they weren't going to transport it with them. And so today you can still go see the doll at the it's Muninji Temple in Hokkaido. You can see the doll. You're not allowed to take any pictures of it though. How these people got that picture, I don't know.
Being sneaky.
Yeah, being sneaky. Yeah, but you're not allowed to take pictures of it.
Oh.
So this one is less known than this one even. Have you heard about the devil baby?
It's possible I have, but just don't remember anything about. That's not trying to like weasel my way out of it, but you know.
I'll also add that this takes place in New Orleans.
Ooh.
Wait, is it the
Okay.
baby that was no, go ahead.
Okay. So this one's legend is that New Orleans, being a history-rich, folklore-rich culture, like the legend has it that during the 1800s, a daughter from a affluent family married a wealthy Scotsman, uh, and then one of her angry, jealous ex-lovers sought revenge and asked Marie Laveau, the voodoo queen, for help. So Laveau cursed the bride, which, first of all, I don't know how negatively this impacts voodoo practitioners. I've only personally encountered a few, and I don't know how often curses actually happen in voodoo, so I feel like I need to stipulate that before I continue.
Yeah, we don't really know a whole lot about voodoo. I like it, but I like in the spiritual practices way.
Because I fact checked and edited a story for our local literary magazine about voodoo. And it was like a 40-page long story, so I had to call all those people related to the story.
Oh wow.
So I talked to a lot of voodoo practitioners and Santeria and Ifa practitioners, but I don't know anything about how common cursing might be, and or if Marie Laveau ever cursed people. This is a legend, so I don't know if that's a thing that happens. I'm stipulating it so I can move forward with the story. That way I don't sound like I'm being sensitive and propagating like rude things.
You know, like the usual.
Yeah.
So supposedly Laveau cursed the bride, a curse that came to fruition when the bride went into labor with their first child. The young mother died, but not before bringing a awful, grotesque creature into the world. Not even like a baby, a creature.
Oh, I
So
bet it was a
it's
Harlequin baby.
Jersey Devil.
These stories are everywhere in all kinds of folklore about people giving birth to quote unquote grotesque creatures. One of my favorite folktale stories, is out of like Norway, the Lindworm. And it's
Ah,
about
yeah.
that. So it's said that this baby was the progeny of Satan himself, which has nothing to do with voodoo, and I do know that. uh, So Laveau brought the baby home and cared for it until she died, supposedly. And it's rumored that once the baby died, it was buried in the St. Louis Cemetery Number 1. So the citizens of New Orleans feared the devil baby, So people say it would hide in the shadows and alleys. The baby would hide in the shadows and alleys,
baby's jumping people.
wreaking havoc wherever it went. So to protect themselves, townsfolk would carve fake devil babies out of gourds and hang the dolls outside of their homes to frighten off the real devil baby.
The devil baby.
So some of these dolls are said to still exist today, but they're rare and highly coveted. In the early 20th century, new versions of the Devil Baby dolls began appearing around New Orleans. These were said to look exactly like the real Devil Baby.
Oh,
And so
okay. Everybody knows what the real devil baby looks like.
Everybody knows. And so because of this, these dolls were said to be possessed. And now I'm going to show you what the Devil Baby looks like, supposedly. You're going to be so
It's
afraid.
Gonna have the craziest eyebrows, I hope.
Okay. I hear them laughing upstairs.
Yeah.
Look at his little bitch's horns.
This Devil Baby doll looks like Hellboy from the Hellboy movie when he was a baby.
Yeah. Is this what they say when? Is this what they mean when they say "Devil Man Crybaby"? It's not it, but
Oh, that was good. Oh boy.
Yes. So
Oh god.
there's an artist named Riccardo Puciano who claims to have been able to buy remnants of the last remaining Devil Baby doll from the era when those real ones were made, and he says that he uses the remnants of the real dolls to recreate them for purchase, because of course. And many customers who have bought those dolls from him claim that these dolls are also evil and that they follow you with their eyes and they like move on their own. And so the dolls come with a buyer beware warning because it appears the spirit of the Devil Baby is alive and well.
Okay. I love it. Oh my god. Do we have a picture of the new Devil Babies?
This is it.
This is it? This is all? This is all we have to go on?
Nah, I'm typing it into Google right now. Oh my god, Google has so many Devil Babies. It does not know what I mean.
Google will be like, whoa, which Devil Baby?
Yeah, it did say that. There's so many.
Which Devil Baby you be meaning today?
Oh my god, this one's worse. This one's worse.
Ooh, what that is not pleasant.
Yeah, now I'm gonna delete it. This one looks like a wrong button. This one looks like a newborn doll's head.
It's modified and weird.
They make the newborn doll monster dolls.
Oh, I forgot they did that.
Those are kind of cute, actually. Some of them, not all of them. The regular reborn dolls are very creepy.
Yeah, they're very scary. Like, props to the people who need them, but
man, Google is having a hard time providing me with what I want. It's because it's giving me a whole bunch of babies in devil costumes.
That would do it. And it's Halloween.
Yeah. Oh, here's a haunted New Orleans tour that talks about the Devil Baby. Oh, here's an expanded picture of the picture that I gave you.
Oh boy!
Shows the baby's little outfit.
Oh, I hope it's styling.
It's got tons of jewelry. Oh yeah!
It's like a full-grown man. It's like a full-grown man with a baby head. Oh my god! I love it.
Oh my god! This one has legs.
What?
Hold on, I got one with legs.
Oh my god! It's gonna have huge long legs.
No. That is awful.
This is the worst thing ever. Oh my god, babies don't look like this. Oh my god,
not. This is the Devil Baby.
Oh, of course. That's right. How could I be so ignorant? Satan's genes are strong in this one, and by that I mean that this kid could wear Satan's jeans. It's so long. Oh my god. This is hilarious. This is one of the funniest things I've seen all day.
Yeah, it's great. These little things are weird. Even shorter than that story. You guys have heard about the haunted Elmo doll?
Of fucking course.
I think so.
So in 1996, you had the Elmo doll that can like say your kid's name and stuff. They were like topping the holiday toy lists. Like there's nothing to be remotely afraid of when you're thinking about Elmo. But then if he threatens to murder you, maybe you should be afraid of him because
Nah,
such
it's
was
Elmo.
yeah.
Guess what Elmo did last night?
Such was the case for the Bowman family, and
Elmo had a three-way.
no. So, back in 2008, 2-year-old James Bowman had an Elmo Knows Your Name doll. The doll was programmed to recite his name, James, along with a bunch of other personalized phrases. But this doll not only knew James's name, but liked to say the word "kill" in front of it. So Elmo would say "kill James" repeatedly until James's distraught mother decided to take the doll away. And she says that the doll only started saying that after she changed the batteries in it. And Fisher-Price actually did offer to replace the doll. Like, they agreed that the doll needed to be replaced. So I guess maybe it really was doing that.
That is just, it's so funny. And then other people started reporting their haunted Elmo dolls. Like, oh.
Yeah, here's a doll.
Don't like that doll.
That's not Elmo.
No. This doll's name is Mandy. She's a porcelain baby doll made in England or Germany sometime in the decade of 1910 to 1920. Nobody knows. She was donated to a museum in British Columbia that looks like it's pronounced Kesnel.
Like, can I see?
Yes, you can. You could probably say it better than I could. You live somewhere up there.
Yeah, I lived in BC. Quesnel.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it was donated to that museum in 1991. Mandy's donor said she could hear her crying in the middle of the night from the basement where the doll was at. And it wasn't until after she gave the baby away that the crying stopped. So the crying stopped for her, but then the museum had strange occurrences associated with the doll. Employees said their lunches would go missing, and that was the doll's fault.
The doll was fucking eating? Where does it go?
Nah, it was Brian.
Yeah. They said they could hear footsteps when nobody but one person was around. Office supplies like pencils and books would appear in a different spot from where they were last placed because nobody could possibly be moving those things.
Apparently not, but you know what? At least they have pencils.
Yeah, at least they have them. And then it took the museum some time to decide where to put Mandy in the first place. They say she couldn't be encased with other dolls because she harmed them.
Oh. Okay.
Didn't elaborate.
She harmed dolls.
Yep.
This doll is a serial killer, then.
Serial doll killer.
Some visitors said that they would find the lamb outside of her case. And other visitors said that her eyes will blink or follow you wherever you walk. And she'll mess with your camera equipment if you try to photograph her. And then I've got one more doll. And this one I included because it's funny.
Yes.
Is it a sex doll?
It is not. It's this doll.
No!
What the fuck is up with this guy?
Oh no, now we're gonna be cursed.
I hope not. I already went through Mr. Sir Robert's stuff. God, the hospital. I'm still paying the hospital.
So, what's the deal with this one?
Okay, so this doll's name is Letta. 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 Letta is short for "Letta Me Out."
Oh my god.
Letta was found underneath a house in Wagga Wagga, I think. It's in Australia. It's between Sydney and Melbourne.
Okay, so I can laugh like a little bit. Wagga Wagga.
By the owner Kerry Walton. So in 1972, Kerry went back to his Australian hometown for his grandmother's funeral. And during this time, his grandmother's funeral, he decided he was going to face some childhood fears and visit an abandoned building during his
Okay.
grandmother's funeral. When he went to the abandoned building, he found this old marionette underneath the porch.
Under the porch?
Yeah, I don't know why he went under there. I need to give you a full body picture of this doll. Here we go. Just send this to you. Send you this little gentleman.
Oh God, it's worse with the hair down. Oh gosh.
Oh, let me out. Let me
Yeah.
out indeed.
So he found this doll under the porch of an abandoned house that he was visiting during his grandma's funeral. And Carrie said that he felt compelled to take it home with him, and they've been together ever since 1972.
Oh,
God.
Yeah, according to psychics, the doll was made 200 years ago by a Romani person for his son who had drowned. In their group, they believed in spirit transference, and the doll would act as a new home for the dead. So the doll has real human hair.
Oh, okay.
And apparently under the scalp is a likeness of a human brain.
no!
That's
Now that is very creepy.
Yeah. A
what
little
the
bit.
Now-
fuck?
Carrie named the doll Letta, he says, because of his heritage, because for some reason Letta is Romani. But then he says also because the doll occasionally screams, "Let me out!"
Golly goodness. Oh my God.
She's Romani, but she's Italian. Let me
Yes.
out.
Nothing
Oh my
evil has
God.
ever been reported about the doll,
Okay.
despite appearances.
That's good.
Just that she has a brain inside of her, which is fine.
The doll is a he.
I thought that Letta was a girl name.
It sounds like it, but so after finding the doll, Carrie Walton says that his luck has changed for the better, actually, and that his collectibles business has been booming ever since he found the doll. He says that there are some quirks about the doll. He says it will rain whenever I take the doll outside.
Oh,
Huh.
that seems bad for the doll.
He says if I hang pictures up, they'll fall off the wall whenever I enter the room, with the
Oh.
doll specifically.
Okay.
He says dogs bark and attempt to attack whenever they're near the doll.
Oh my
I
God.
would also if I were a dog.
Yeah.
People have said they feel inexplicably afraid and sad when they see him. Look at it. I would also feel afraid.
It's not even inexplicable. It's just how it is.
Letta is supposedly capable of moving on his own and changing positions while seated and emitting a pulse while being held, which is terrible.
Pulse.
Mr. Walton said that he knows that the doll moves. He has not seen the doll move. He just knows the doll moves. He said that the scuff marks on the bottom of the shoes are a giveaway. He says, I reckon he walks in the night. We came in here as a new house, and I've never heard so many strange things in my life. That's it.
Wow.
I've brought you an array.
Yeah, I think Letta is my favorite.
Yeah, Letta is the safest one.
Letta has actually done
Delightful.
nothing wrong. Delightful.
Yeah.
Changed his owner's life for the better, apparently.
Reviews 10 out of 10.
Would haunt again.
That and the hair growing doll, Okiku. She has done nothing wrong either. She just grows hair, makes some noise every now and again, flickers some lights. Didn't
Yeah.
actually cause any problems at all for her owner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's cute.
Shout out to Okiku. Shout out to Letta. Y'alls are the MVPs. Yeah.
You're all right in our book.
And actually, this week we were answering a question from somebody that wasn't one of the three of us. So y'all, please actually send questions because that's nice when that happens.
What?
Woo!
So what you can do is you could visit our website, which is whywouldyouskthat.com, and go to that little contact form, throw in a question, or you can email us at whywouldyouskthatpod@gmail.com. So please send us your questions. We don't care how weird it is, how gross it is. Just don't ask any personal questions. That's our one line. Ask your weird questions. That's what we want. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Doll Watch. So remember, dolls, respect them, even if they terrify you. Have a good night.